Don't look under the internet.
Oh! Alright, I'm recording. Oh my god.
Are we recording?
Yes, Sync.
Sir.
I'm
Sync
recording. Are you
tuba.
recording? Doug,
I'm recording. Are you recording?
Yeah, Mike, are you recording?
You bet you bet.
Matt, are you recording?
Matt, am I recording? I'm recording. Doug, are you recording?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet.
The podcast where we're recording. And we make sure of it at least 4 times. That is the 5th time. That is the 5th time. Okay. Diluti, housekeeping. My house is haunted. And
This podcast is a joke.
For don't listen to us 3 idiots.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to us 3. That works. It kind of works.
Yeah, it works
That's-
right now.
That's Doug.
Hi.
That's Moot.
Ah.
I'm me, Mike. Jason's not here
Who?
for a reason. And I
Because he's stupid.
I don't want to tell you that reason, so I'm going to leave it up to mystery.
Because he made some notes and we read them and we were like, Jason.
You're off the show.
I think
It's
he has
obvious you need a
AIDS.
break from the the scrawlings you produce.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're gonna go into housekeeping. There it is.
Keep it.
That's the clap. So, like I was saying, my house is haunted. Couple things been happening.
Bad name. $10 Patreon?
I hate you. We'll get to the patrons in a minute, but so since I came down in the basement, Lori's got this bag of bird seed over in the corner here, and 5 times now, the corner of it has like flipped, like that, has done like a little flippy flap like that, and there's no vent or anything on that side of the basement, so it's not coming from like an air current or anything, and my daughter has this piano thing that keeps going off on its own. And it's creepy because I'll just be sitting there watching my shows. I'll be watching Yu Yu Hakusho because I just got into Yu Yu Hakusho lately. And it just
First time?
Yeah, first time.
Damn, all right.
It's
You've got a wild
fun.
ride.
Pretty fun. And I'll just be sitting there watching my shows, and then this piano just goes, go, go, piano, in the corner of the room. And it just lights up, and it's very scary because nothing touches it. It's just sitting there. And I don't like that. And that concludes Michael's house being haunted. We're going to move on to some
I
patrons.
gotta be
and
100%.
whatnot.
I didn't follow that story at all.
I also immediately got on my phone.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, I guess I don't gotta be 100%, but I'm choosing to be.
You're supposed to be
And letting
positive,
you know.
Matt.
New
What
year, new
happened?
me. I took a nap and it ruined everything. So
Oh, no, that's the worst.
The vibe is off.
yeah.
See, I can't take a nap that late. Otherwise, I won't wake up. And it's like, I might as well
That's
just
called
not.
that's called a sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. After 5 p.m., it's no longer a nap. You're just down for the night. So props to you for even waking up.
I do it
We're
for
going to
the
play
people.
the game. We're going to play the game. Good name?
Ass name.
Ass name. Where we have patrons that we're going to shout out. We're going to see if we think your name is nice or if you should probably change it legally in the eyes of the government. Right now, we
In the eyes
have
of God.
Sarah Gakatif.
Boo.
Sarah
Bad.
Gakatif.
Negative 1 out of 10.
Sarah Gakatif. I'm going to give it a 7 for originality. I know that's not a real name, so.
Gakatif?
Sarah Gakatif. And it's not Sarah like a person. It's S-E-R-A. Sarah Gakatif.
Like Sarah Angel?
Trying to
Sure.
make a teeth joke, and it's just not getting anywhere.
Teeth.
God.
Bad. Negative
Look at those
1.
teeth.
No,
You know what? Props for the attempt. I'll give you that one. Next up, we have Eerie. Eerie.
that's it?
Eerie. E-R-I-E. Eerie.
Irie?
E-R-I-E. Erie. It's,
I like
don't
Erie.
know.
It's the name that a DJ would name their child.
I
Erie?
can literally hear Matt's brain doing like a bus stop noise where it's like just like
It's like the air brake.
it starts and then just immediately stops, just like
Well, we have one more. Let's see if we can get that bus back in motion for this one. Capri. Capri.
Kepler E.
Capri.
Capri.
Like Capri.
You
Capri's
should have a
nuts,
kid. You
son.
should have a kid. So there's a Capri Sun.
Damn. I'm
Damn.
giving it an 8 for that pun alone.
I don't know the context. It gets a 2.
Well, Doug, you fucking suck. But
They're all bad.
Those are
all
our
bad
patrons
names.
and our subscribers for this week. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, as you people could tell. It's been like 2 weeks since we actually recorded with each other. So hello, boys.
We haven't uploaded anything
but,
to Patreon either. So thanks for giving us money.
Hey, thanks a lot to you.
Hey.
You give a lot for nothing in return.
For literally nothing.
So I would want to give a shout out to all our patrons, but those three especially. So thank you very much. And if you would like to become a patron and help us out, you can go to patreon.com/deludipod, or you can go to deludi.com and become a member there.
We promise to
Pretty dang
upload things
cool.
sometimes.
It's pretty dang cool. Also, on
We
another
have
side
like
note,
4 bonuses in the chamber.
No, we
but
don't. We have one.
Wow.
yeah, we put them all
Way
out.
to make me
slum.
look like, way to undermine me in
I'm
front
just
of
saying
our
the truth.
fans. We've got 16 episodes ready to go for you people.
We get 15 episodes.
So, Matt, you might enjoy this. Remember our conversation a long time ago on... Okay. Remember our conversation a long time ago on the Cars universe, and if there is...
You mean like 2 weeks ago?
Yes, and if there's like life and things like that.
Right.
So, it is confirmed, and I'll tell you how. So, in Disney hosts these things called Mater's Tall Tales, and one of them is called Private Detective Mater. And in it, there is a lady car wearing a hat with a bunch of fruits coming out of them.
They can be waxed.
So,
Why the emphasis on fruits?
because that I'm leading up to it. So, there's a bunch of fruits hanging out of these hats, which confirms that there is life in the
But
Cars
there's
universe.
foliage.
There's foliage, there's plant-based life, there's fruits, which means bacteria and all that stuff. We have confirmed it now. And also they do mention a goat. So I think goats exist in that world too.
Okay.
Which would be kind of weird because the cows are like tractors or whatever. So
Yeah.
So I think we might have to come up with the argument of is there carbon-based life? Like meat
we
life
talked about
out
that.
there. I know. And it's still up in the air, I feel. Even
well,
though the-
if you cut a car in half, does it like bleed out, or is there meat in there?
They have a tongue,
Yeah,
which is
right.
meaty. But
Right.
in another...
we found that diagram that is like, it's like a bisection of Lightning McQueen, and there's just meat in there. It's horrible.
But in one of the episodes I watched, Mater opens up his car, his front door, and you just see the interior of like a car.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, the
yeah.
brain would be like where the engine is, right?
I don't know. And in Cars 3, they open up and there's an engine. There's no brain. They open up the hood and there's an engine. So the conversation's still going on.
There has to be carbon-based life. Otherwise, they don't have any gas. What are they running on?
There are dinosaurs, but they're machine dinosaurs in that world.
All right, we're getting off topic.
And yeah, so let's get back on topic. That might be bonus territory. We'll get to that one later. But anyway,
The Minecraft trailer sucks. We'll talk about that too.
Don't you talk about Steve that way?
yeah,
I'm
how dare you?
Steve. Fuck you. I can go on like a whole 10-minute rant about how I've lost faith in Jack Black, but we'll talk about it later.
I'll
We're
follow
already
you to
10
the end of
minutes-
the world.
We're
Oh,
already 10
Captain,
minutes
my
into this.
Captain. I'll follow you down that road. Speaking of captains, we're talking about one today. And boy, howdy, is it a weird one. Matt brought me into this. It has a little sweet treat involved, which is nice. And I don't understand what this even is. So we're going to get into it. Today we're talking about Captain Crunch's key lime pie cereal.
Nope.
Try it again.
Captain Kutchie key lime pie.
No.
Captain Kutchie's key lime pie.
There you go.
I think it's
I nailed
Kutchie.
it. Captain Kutchie? Captain
I'm pretty
Kutchie?
sure it's Kutchie.
Captain Kutchie's key lime
Ashton
pie.
Kutcher key lime pie.
We're talking about that today, which first and foremost, everyone
We're kind of going back to our roots here. This is like some of the bullshit we were doing when we first started.
When
and I like it.
first looked up some of the websites for this and like YouTube videos for this, everyone's like, oh yeah, this is that like very popular one from like the 2016s or whatever that took off, and everyone knows this one. And I'm sitting here like,
I mean,
I
it is
never heard of
a
this shit
fairly
before.
popular one. I first heard it on RedWeb, and there is a Nexpo video about it, but it's a really old Nexpo video, and in my opinion, it's not very good.
Yeah, it's kind of booty, but it's fine.
damn, Nexpo, you hear that? You fucking suck, dude.
There also used to be a subreddit, but no longer.
Oh yeah, they
There's-
privatized it or something, didn't they?
This whole thing is kind of difficult to research at this point, which I'm sure we'll get into a little later, but there's so much muddled between like what is real information and what's like not real now that doing any sort of like, I don't know, sleuthing or deep diving like we don't ever do is hard to do now.
Actually doing
so
real research, which we don't know how to do to begin with, seems like it would probably be very difficult.
if you wanted to, you know, make something worthwhile listening to, it's hard to do on this one.
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't.
It's especially like the concept of this one is very simple, but it's very convoluted in the way to describe what's going on. Like there is bits in here that the topic seems like it would be simple, but getting there is more complicated than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? I guess we'll just we'll get into it and we'll see what's going on.
Sure.
Who wants to start us off with this nice tasty dessert?
I'll start us off. Since
Graham cracker crust.
we're already like 10 minutes into this, I will start out by saying that like I mentioned the subreddit, and it seems to me, looking through what archives of the subreddit that I was able to find, the part of the reason that the subreddit no longer exists is because people were beginning to harass the family that is involved in this. So we'll find out later that there is actually a real family that is involved in this somehow, but don't contact them because people have been doing that, and that
Contact
makes you
us
an
instead.
asshole. Yeah,
At 630-909-9366.
yeah, stop harassing people. It's not cool. But anyway, this whole thing seems to start, at least the internet part of this, seems to start sometime around 2009. It's very difficult to figure out exactly what the first instance of this is. There's lots of different places that claim the first post. There's a post in the Nexpo video that they claim is the first one, but I'm not entirely convinced that it actually is. But basically, what this whole mystery stems from is thousands upon thousands of posts on various websites around the internet by a person who is now like colloquially known as KLP about Captain Kutchie's key lime pies. And this spans, like I said, about 2009 to at least sometime in 2016, and then it continues a little bit beyond that, but we're not actually sure if it's actually connected to the original posts after that. So these posts these posts are posted under several different names, and at least some of them are the same entity. So there's a long list of names that you'll find associated with these usernames like Christy Brinkley, Johnny Carson, Jenna S., Vinny Gambini, Willie Jordan, and like each of these different names has their own specific flair to the content that they post. Willie Jordan's in particular is very sexual, but they all talk about this key lime pie called Captain Kutchie's key lime pie. And there's various different things that are mentioned in almost all of the comments, or at least themes that go along with all the comments. And these show up in the comment sections of just like all kinds of different fucking websites. Basically anything that has a comment section, and Doug will go over this more in a minute, has been subject to these posts. And they talk about the key lime pies. They talk about these burgers from this place called Kutchie's Key West Cafe, and these burgers are apparently better than sex. They talk about Captain Kutchie himself. There's a few different names that are actually brought up multiple times in these different posts. Anita is one, the captain himself, like I mentioned. Pelaez, which is a last name that we'll talk more about later. Asheville, North Carolina is brought up a couple times. And then a couple times the Florida Keys and Key West are brought up in these posts, but I'm not actually sure if that is related to the restaurant itself. Again, we'll cover that more later. But like, I'll go through a couple of these comments that I was actually able to find. If you go back and look at some of the Reddit posts about this, you'll find links to different places where comments have been posted. This one that I was able to find from early 2009 from a big Reddit post is on the comment section of like just literally somebody's blog where they're talking about this frozen key lime pie that they bought. And it says, apparently no one has ever tried the world's greatest key lime pie from Kutchie's Key West. That's so sad. Kutchie's KLP have been available for over 30 years now. We travel over 500 miles to get them, about 4 times a year. Kutchie's is located just south of Asheville in North Carolina. We usually bring back about 100 of those fantastic pies. Most of our friends and neighbors have us pick up their pies while we are there. We phone Kutchie's about 2 weeks in advance to be sure that the pies will be ready. It's that
so
easy.
much work.
There's no excuse for anyone not eating the best, and that is Kutchie's famous key lime pie. Now you know. And that
No
one is
excuse except driving 500 miles to go get pie.
yeah, absolutely no excuse except having literally nothing else to do with your life. That's a post from Christy Brinkley. Some of them are a lot shorter than that, like this one that says, and this person's wife gets mentioned a lot. When my wife gets mad, I get her Captain Kutchie's key lime pie. It is the greatest key lime pie in the world. Captain Kutchie's pie cured my erectile dysfunction. I recommend going to Anita's and Kutchie's Key Lime Pie Factory in Asheville, North Carolina, near the Biltmore House.
And keep in mind that these aren't like comments on like Google reviews for this Captain Kutchie's place. These are
this
in,
isn't
like,
Yelp. This is
IMBD
just-
forums and shit like that.
shit that is completely fucking unrelated. I don't want to steal too much of Doug's section. I'll go through this one last comment that I copied that is pretty funny. This one goes like completely off the rails. This one's from Jenny McMasters in 2015, and it says that Captain Kutchie Pelaez of Kutcheritaville over in Asheville, North Carolina, sure enough, is one wild and crazy guy, in quotation marks. All the women are so wild about him and his famous cheeseburgers and key lime pies, hellaciously fantastic tender and delicious prime ribs and prime steaks. Every word of this comment is capitalized, by the way. Like the first
So you had to
letter.
be yelling it.
Yeah. Drop off the bone, barbecue ribs, pulled pork, and beef brisket. His drop-dead gorgeous wife, Anita, together, and they are historic key lime pie factory and grill, where the smiles and ovens are always warm and friendly, inviting you to spend a little time resting and enjoying your time in their little Key West island near the Biltmore estate, close by. Kind of funny, you know, the world's greatest key lime pies aren't even baked in the Keys, but at Kutcheritaville by Captain Kutchie. And I could go on, but
And I will.
and I will. So here's another comment. No, like we mentioned, these are all over the fucking place. Doug, do you want to talk about some of the places these things can be found?
Yeah, so it's really interesting actually. I don't normally condone people going online and like if you go to Google and you search something, you're like, all right, page 1, it's got pretty much everything I need. If you ever want to look this up, I would say go all the way to that page 10 of Google if you wanted to, because you will actually still find relevant things to searching Captain Kutchie's key lime pie on page 10 of Google. They're everywhere. The comments are everywhere. Google picks it up on almost every single site you could think of. So like Google Plus, Instagram, Facebook, super easy ones. Obviously, you've got your Reddits too. But some more interesting places are IMDb. So if we go to IMDb, it takes you to a video called "How to Eat Pussy Like a Champ,"
Oh,
and
yeah, dude.
someone by the name of One-Eyed Willie commented,
Who I
it just
believe
doesn't
is the
get
same
any-
person as Willie Jordan.
So I'll go over some of the names in a minute here, but basically, I may end up reading stuff again, but I'm going to try and not do that. But it says, if it just doesn't get any better than seeing gorgeous Miss Anita Pelaez over at her and her husband's Captain Kutchie's place, some folks also call him the Kutchman. Others call him Kutchmon. Most just call him the most interesting man in the world. And it just goes on and on. The world's best key lime pies. Yum, yum, yum. Talk about world class. What an understatement. The magic of the lovely Miss Anita Pelaez and her delicious key lime pies baked with pure love, always 40 years, and they're still going strong. It's just like the most like hype comments.
I want to
about
go
this
visit the pylons, man.
The pilot.
But yeah, so they also talk about burgers too, goody cheeseburgers. But one thing you're gonna notice is that a lot of these comments are on posts and weird things that have like a specific like tone to it. So like this one's eating pussy like a champ. It's very sexual in nature, so they commented on it. You'll see this kind of theme throughout a lot of like where you'll find them. Another site is blog.africadreamssafaris.com, where they're literally just talking about a trip. Like two people just like narrated or like wrote an article about their trip to Africa, but it's titled, quote of the week, Dick and Marjorie Tipton. So you've got the word dick in the title. So of course, go to the comments. We have a Jan Marie from November 27, 2015, writing literally the whole thing that Matt just read. Except there's way more to it. I don't even want to read all of this because it's just so much that like they actually go off on a lot of different tangents, and they start talking about fucking Stephen Colbert, Donald Trump, how Hillary sucks, and fucking SNL isn't funny anymore. Like it just goes in a really weird direction. Another place you can find is just food.com. A ton of food articles. Any blog posts about food they were posting. And they were going under different names. Again, this one is Jake Carson. Mr. Jake Carson reviewed a key lime pie copycat recipe from Papa Dough Restaurant. And it's pretty much exactly what I read earlier, too. It says Captain Kutchie Pelaez of Kutcheritaville over in Asheville, North Carolina, sure enough is one wild and crazy guy. All the women are so wild about him and his famous cheeseburgers and key lime pies. Hellaciously fantastic, tender and delicious prime ribs and prime steaks. Drop off the bone barbecue ribs, pulled pork, and beef brisket. His drop-dead gorgeous wife, Anita, together in their historic key lime pie factory and grill where the smiles and ovens are always warm and friendly. And it just goes on and on and on. And then it's, of course, the longer you read, it just starts talking about Stephen Colbert and Donald Trump and all this other bullshit for no reason. But yeah, so just a few more other places you'll find it. I found some on the Film Buffs blogspot.com, lyrics.com, where they actually, someone by the name of Wilson Pickett like filed for a song, and it's called My Key Lime Pie, My, and the lyrics is the copy paste
Hell yeah.
of the comment.
Hell yeah.
And
bro.
then of course I found one in a Tech Dirt fucking blog spot, and you can literally go in Google, type in Captain Kutchie's key lime pie, and you can go through every fucking page of Google and you will just start finding more and more random spots. Now the problem with this is, as funny as that is, and as copy pasta as our generation and generations start seeming to be more and more like brain rotted, you'll just fucking, I don't know. You have to just Google it to see it happen. But a lot of people are starting to claim this. They're starting to hijack it. I think, because I mean, shit.
I think that's what
This guy started posting in 2009, and it's now 2016, and we're still getting these copy pastas fucking blowing up different websites.
It's now
It's
2016.
a long time.
What happened?
Well, we went back in time.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. The last post was from 2016 was what I meant. But yeah, it's now 2016, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Matt.
New year, new Matt. I
Old
sure
man.
hope
Old
nothing
man.
bad happens for the next 8 years.
Matt, I'm going to tell you right
Certainly
now.
won't.
In 4 years, you're going to stumble upon a podcast, or so, in a couple of years, you're going to stumble upon a podcast. Don't
Walk
listen. Walk away.
Just walk away. Yeah. That's. There's so many more examples, but I don't think I need to go through all of them.
Right.
Because you kind of get the picture.
There's thousands too, so good luck going through each example.
It really wasn't though, like until I think they said like 2012, 2013, that the amount of posts, there's like a chart somewhere that actually shows like how many posts contained any of these copy pastas in it. And like it was like 2012, 2013 that they like really started fucking like just blowing up,
It showed
Shot
how
through
many
the roof.
posts were made a day, I think, about it. And in like 2012, I think it capped out at like 15 posts a day,
And-
like pretty regularly. And then it kind of dropped and fizzled and then went back up. It roller, it's stock market, and you know what I mean? But that
And
was, like,
when
the
did
peak.
the
Yeah.
coverage of this kind of start? Because like the next Poe video, I think is from 2016.
The coverage
This-
was found, it was essentially found around 2016, which is when
Okay.
people also say it ended. So people basically found it right at the end of
So,
its
but there was
ride.
like nobody really talking about it in 2012, which would have caused then an exponential explosion of references to it.
Right.
Because
No,
you would
yeah,
expect
exactly.
a gigantic increase in like 2016 if people are copying and pasting this.
You
And-
see a bigger you see a bigger blow up after like post 2016
Right.
when all the like the like trolls and like the fake
Right.
posters and everything
Because
started
like
posting.
Nexpo
but
started
yeah,
talking about it and it started getting reposted on Reddit and like
yeah,
I think
So
the
you-
subreddit started in like 2018.
yeah.
Uh,
And you definitely see the kickoff again after 2016, but
but that doesn't
2012 you see a
explain
pretty
the
big
initial increase.
boost.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they're committed to the bit, man. Who the fuck
Yeah.
knows?
Oh wait, I think I got it. Hold on. So it looks like in 2014, sometime between January and April, it must have started being like really popular or like getting a lot of attention, because that's when 45 to 50 posts a day were happening
I'll bet.
in that time.
So everything I said was wrong. Never believe what I
Thanks,
tell
Mark.
you, people.
riveting coverage.
You fucking figure it out. You've heard it before. We kind of look at the stuff and then we kind of tell you about it.
This podcast is built on subtle glances, and that's it.
This podcast
this is
is
a
built on the cliff
vibes-based.
notes.
Vibes-based
It's a
coverage.
vibe. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like Doug was saying, there's comments galore, and these comments not only mention the key lime pie, but they mention the restaurants themselves. And I say restaurants because I know Matt mentioned one of them before. Doug, I think you mentioned one too. But as you go through these comments, you'll find two places. There's Kutchie's Key West Bar and Grill and Captain Kutchie's Key West Cafe. Now,
What about Kutcheritaville?
Kutcheritaville
Yeah.
is up there in the Pylons, because I'm a Pylon boy. There we go.
Pylon boy.
That's what you get from
I'm a
me.
pilot boy.
So for a
Someone clip that.
while, for a while there, we weren't really sure if these were real restaurants or not. You see these like subtle offhand comments about them, but no one knew exactly where this place was. I know, again, we mentioned Ashford a couple times, but that was information that didn't come out until
You mean
relatively
Asheville?
late in the game. Or Asheville, thank you. That's information that didn't come out until relatively late in the game. For a while, no one knew what the fuck was going on. There was a Reddit user, JStrange888, who messaged in the, and I have the subreddit right here, a message in the actual Asheville subreddit. He's like, "Oh, we're close to solving the mystery." Turns out they were able to find a building on Google Maps, and it says Kutchie's on it. Kutchie's, whatever you fucking want to call it. So they were able to find out that in the city of Asheville, North Carolina, that is where the most likely location for this restaurant actually was. There was a restaurant in this city called Kutchie's Key West Bar and Grill. It was real. You can find like old documents and shit on it. And in these documents, it is stated that it's owned by a man named Oswald. How do you say his last name?
Pelaez, I think.
Pelaez. It was owned by Oswald Pelaez Jr. To be specific, Captain Oswald Pelaez Jr. and his wife Anita. These names probably ring a couple fucking bells. Funny enough, turns out Oswald's nickname was Kutchie. No one really knows why. I'm sure that's more of like an inside joke type of thing. Or if he was an actual captain, maybe it's a military thing. Who knows? But the restaurant
or he had
was
a boat in the Keys.
Ooch. Keys. You're onto something.
Okay, sure.
So it was owned by him at one point. There is even like records that date back to 1978 that show that more than likely Oswald's father, Oswald Sr., was the owner. Oswald Sr. does originally hail from the greatest state in the world. Doug is going there. Florida. Greatest place on earth.
Florida.
And by greatest, I mean
The Australia of America.
the Australia of America. This would explain all of the Key West theming to the restaurant that was out and about. That's where you're getting all this key lime pie. That's where you're getting all this coastal themes that come from some of these comments.
Does it need an explanation, or could it just be a thing this guy liked?
Yes. Okay.
Glad we cracked it.
Yeah, exactly. Sleuthing. We do sleuthing here. A little bit of a down spiral here. The unfortunate side of the things here is that the restaurant was eventually bought out by a sports bar and grill. I believe it was called like All-Star
Capitalism ruins
Sports
everything.
Bar and Grill or something like that. It was bought out around 2005 or 2006. That year is kind of hazy, apparently. But that bar and grill didn't last much longer. It closed down in 2008, which is, 1 year before when all these comments started kicking off. So that, I think, was kind of like the cataclysm that started all this, was that sports bar closing down. 1 year later, we start getting all these comments that are popping up.
Didn't they demolish the building? Did you just say that? I think they tore the building down in 2009.
They did. There's pictures of like old Google Map photos of the building before it was torn down, but yes, it's no longer there.
Okay.
Before there was I think it was a blue building that said Kutchie's on it. And there was a podcast group that actually went out to that area and they took photos of the building that is still currently there. And there's like this bit that's like cut out and they're like, is this where Kutchie's was? Probably. But yeah, it has been demolished since then. But there is some photo evidence of the building before it was torn down.
It was there.
It was there. Proof.
You can see it.
Wow.
You sure can, Doug. You can see it with your own eye.
Riveting stuff.
So long after the closing of the original restaurant, and a year after the replacement restaurant closed, again, that's when these comments started to kind of kick off. There was these comments that were left on this like fast food review blog that was called So Good Blog, and it was from a user named Jimmy Buffett. And this comment reads,
away again in Coutcheritaville.
this comment does read, "These cheeseburgers are better than sex. Or I tell you, Kutchie's Key West Bar and Grill, Asheville, North Carolina." That's not what Jimmy Buffett sounds like, but that's cheeseburgers
He doesn't sound like anything
in
now. He's
paradise.
Rip the legend.
R.I.P. to a real one. Outside of this comment, the first comment that featured the signature KLP poster style because like Matt mentioned, a lot of these posts and Doug mentioned, a lot of these posts and comments have their own little twang and flair to them. Was a comment on a restaurant review site called Foodio54, and this comment was created 2 months later in December of 2009. So there is a little bit of debate on whether the Jimmy Buffett comment is like the OG comment or if this one on Foodio54 is the OG comment. Those were the earliest discovered comments. People are like, oh, obviously it's the Jimmy Buffett one because that came first. Who knows if that started it all or if that's just a person that actually legitimately missed this restaurant and now it just kind of downturned. Maybe that was the inspiration. Who the fuck knows? Okay. But like I mentioned before, you can find archives of this place, and you can find archived newspapers from the 80s and 90s that references Kutchie's Cafe. The weird thing about this place is it was typically a seafood place. From a lot of the things that were posted online.
Makes sense for
like
a place that's themed after a coastal state.
That part makes sense, yes. What doesn't make sense is all the comments talking about the cheeseburgers, the ribs, the steaks, things that weren't really
Had nothing to do with seafood.
advertised.
Places have varied menus.
They do have varied menus, but those things weren't advertised in these archives.
But you would think they'd be like, man, they have the best salmon.
Exactly. Or if their cheeseburgers or key lime pie were that great, wouldn't that have been in the archived papers? You know what I mean? But they're not.
I got crabs from fucking Captain Kutchie's.
I got crabs from the captain.
Oh no. I mean, there
So
are
I think-
places that I enjoy that I don't actually enjoy the main staple of the menu, right?
Yeah. I guess that
I
makes
can't
sense.
think of one off the top of my head, but it's a claim
well,
I'm
for
willing
me-
to make.
For me, it'd be Portillo's. People go to Portillo's for the Italian beef. I go there for the burger. I think their burger is much better than their Italian
Okay,
beef.
right, there you go. This was this person's Portillo's.
You're not wrong, but again, you would think there'd be some sort of reference to these key lime pies or these burgers or anything in any of these archives, but there's not. The only thing that's really referenced is the seafood. That's where it
Before
gets
millennials
weird.
put Red Lobster out of business and before it went way downhill, I used to like their steak.
Damn you, Darton! I think it's Darton that owes them.
I don't know.
Did own them. Who fuck knows?
Rip 'em
Who
to
fuck knows anymore, man? There was a couple things that I wanted to bring up as well. So in the Reddit post that Jay Stranger 888 guy posted in there were some comments that came into play from people that are like, oh yeah, that place was real. I lived in that town. I drove by there almost every day. One person mentions that every time he drove by, he didn't see more than one car at the building and that he thought that it was a money laundering business.
Oh, okay.
There was another that said
Hell yeah.
that place was also called Kutchie's Dine and Dance Supper Club. And he said, you may get some use out of searching newspaper archives. He does link to a citizen-times.newspapers.com link, but it doesn't show anything anymore. But it looks like there might have been some sort of evidence of this place also being renamed to Kutchie's Dine and Dance Supper Club, which sounds like a stripper club.
It sounds like a strip club or like a swingers club or like someplace that you're definitely.
They for sure do.
Yeah, so we have potentially three
a
different
skeezy
names for
place,
this one
sure.
place, which doesn't do it any favors because I think that makes it more difficult to figure out what the fuck am I looking for. Am I looking for fucking Kutchie's Key West Bar and Grill, or am I looking for Captain Kutchie's Key West Cafe, or am I looking for Kutchie's fucking supper stripper club? You know what I mean? Like, what am I
A
looking
front for the
here?
Key West Mafia.
The pies are actually baked with cocaine and
Yeah.
money. Yeah. But like, I think with all these comments, the thousands of comments, and they just push out all these names, I think it was supposed to be confusing on purpose. I feel like that's the goal, is to make it so you can't just find this place that easily. It's going to make you look all over, especially
To intentionally muddy the waters.
yeah, especially because for the Captain Kutchie's Captain Kutchie's Key West Cafe, any of them that mention that name, they allude to the fact that this place is in Florida. The way they talk about it, that's just not the case. There's no evidence of a Kutchie's anything being in Florida. There might now after the fact, but back
Somebody
then
should
there's
start it, and I bet you would get just like the sweatiest internet nerds, just like coming.
Just Captain Kutchie.
Go ahead and join our $100 Patreon tier, where we buy a restaurant in Florida.
We'll just start a ghost kitchen
There you go. A ghost kitchen.
on
Start
Uber
in the
Eats.
back of an
just
Applebee's. Yeah.
The only thing we have is key lime pie.
Key lime pie.
Yeah.
and burgers.
a shitty cheeseburger though. We'll get an Applebee's cheeseburger. That'll show.
They're just
we'll
like
order
the
burgers from the Burger Den and then mark them up and then send them over to you.
They'll
we
never
just
know.
have somebody like constantly running to like McDonald's, just buying
Yeah.
their cheap cheeseburgers,
Full of
and we're just
fucking,
selling them for twice as much.
Oh, Skinner when he has Superintendent Chalmers over with Krusty Burgers. But I guess
Steamed
the
ham.
main steamed hams. The main question that comes up here is like, are these places real? And we can safely say one is the Key West Bar and Grill
In Asheville,
was
North
real
Carolina.
in Asheville, North Carolina. That one is real. We have records of it. We have plenty of eyewitnesses. We even have a fucking building. So that one is real. The other places, I think have just been put into the ether just to fuck with you.
It's just they've just been created by the ridiculous game of internet telephone that's going on here.
Exactly.
I think.
What else is there to this fucking story?
What else is there? There's a bunch of theories about what the fuck is going on here, and most of these you can find in the very expansive Reddit write-up that it's on Unsolved Mysteries. But some of these theories that people have about what's going on here are that all of the posting, all of it is a spam bot that has just like completely gone out of control, and that it was initially built to spam something, an advertisement or something like that, and it just got way out of hand, and it started posting about these key lime pies all over the internet. Now, this theory doesn't make a lot of sense for a couple of reasons. For one, the posts themselves vary quite a bit, and generally, if you have like a bot that's copying and pasting something multiple times, it's typically the same exact text, just maybe with some very slight deviation posted over and over again. But this very much seems to be customized, not only by the place that it's being posted, but by like the pseudonym that the poster is going by or the person who's posting it. So that theory doesn't hold a lot of water. It also wouldn't make sense that you would build a spam bot to advertise a place that doesn't exist anymore and hasn't for years. So that doesn't hold up a lot. Another theory is that the posts were basically what Mike is saying. They were intentionally created to cover up bad publicity about the restaurant or the family that's associated with the restaurant. So there was something out there on the internet that was easily searchable, that whenever you searched either this restaurant or this family's name turned up, and they didn't want that to happen. And so they built this spam operation to try to get as much text out there on the internet that contained these keywords that they didn't want people to be able to search as possible, so that when you would search them, all you would get was just these random fucking websites.
Sense?
That's a theory that I guess maybe I get. Again, if it's negative publicity about the restaurant, it doesn't make a lot of sense because the restaurant was already closed at the point that this started happening. So why would it matter if they had bad Yelp reviews or something? Maybe I could get on board with like there's something about the family and their dealings that they wanted to hide. Like what you were saying with somebody saying that they thought
Money
that it
laundering.
was a money laundering front or something like that. Maybe they didn't want that attention. Though
be it.
they did. This obviously had the unintended, like the Streisand effect of they tried to cover it up and then accidentally generated a lot more publicity. So
There
it
is
didn't work.
3 years ago, there was a YouTube channel that's found a source that says that KLP served as an encrypted communication.
Yeah, that was the next theory that I was going to list. Yeah.
Get
So,
into it.
The next idea is that the posts are some sort of coded communication between like people in like a crime syndicate or something. And this theory basically is based on the fact that there are a lot of things that show up repeatedly as references in these comments that seemingly really have nothing to do with the topic at hand. Like Doug was talking about, like that one post just goes way off the fucking rails and talks about Stephen Colbert and shit. But there's other things that show up multiple times as topics in these comments that have nothing to do with the food themselves or anything like that. And so the idea is maybe that there are phrases in here that are meant to convey information. The question here is, who would be using this as a communication method, and how is that any better than like any other secure means of communication? Why would you just put it out there on the internet for anybody to read? There's a million different ways to communicate securely, and there was already in 2009. That this doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And there's already like number stations and things like that as well. Like
it always goes back to the damn number stations.
Oh, Doug, your mic went out.
Oh, that tends to happen.
Yep. You could probably just end up doing something like that, you know, or it'd be more secretive.
Yeah, I mean, in 2009, you could have. I mean, I'm sure that things like Telegram or whatever existed that you could use to send each other encrypted messages.
Carrier pigeon?
Encrypted email
Carrier
existed
pigeon,
in 2009. Why wouldn't you just use that? There had to have been a better way.
WhatsApp. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't think that existed by then. But
so what I was yelling before my mic decided it was just no longer working here. I was saying it always comes back to the fucking number stations. I swear. They're like, I can't figure it out. It's number station.
We do get those a lot.
It's the Russians.
Yeah, I don't think that theory holds a lot of water, in my opinion. The next theory is that these posts are part of an ARG, which is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, there's a code hidden in these messages somewhere that you're supposed to decipher, and it's supposed to lead you to something else. My question about that would be, people have been looking into this very hard for many, many years and have never found anything like that. And people are pretty smart. And I think if there was a hidden code in this somewhere, somebody would have figured it out by now. Also, if you were going to do that, why would you associate the post with a place, like a real place in the real world? Unless you wanted people to go there. But it sounds like people already have, and there's nothing there. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense either. One idea is that the poster is just doing it for funsies, and that they just made up this story about...
That's a lot of work for funsies, though.
Yeah, they just made up this story about this real place and decided to repost about it. This seems like an awfully obscure thing to do that with, unless you were somebody who like grew up in Asheville and you remember this place from like when you were a kid or something like that, and decided that that was the thing that you were just gonna make this thing happen about. But again, that is a lot of effort, and to what end? Like you're not getting one over on anybody.
Have you seen the God, I can't find it, so I hope you might have some more information on it. I stumbled across a comment, I don't remember where. I've been trying to look for it this whole time, but I can't find it anymore. About the Anita and was it Oswald Pais being like
Pelaez.
Government agents. Have you seen that one?
No, government agents.
Yeah, you can find people with the names like attached to you can find the names that are attached to this. You can find them in like military registries. They are like intelligence people. And Anita and Oswald were like, they weren't married. They were what's the word I'm looking for? Basically co-workers. And a lot of people are trying to think that this might be some sort of like government like this might be some sort of like testing thing from the government, or there's might be some sort of government
like a
conspiracy.
psyop?
Yeah, there's some sort of government conspiracy going on with it. I wish I could find that fucking comment. I can't find it anymore.
I did see that, but I didn't write it down, so I don't want to talk about it.
Where
but
the fuck it is.
Made it up.
a question real quick. Did we talk about Oswald, his obituary at all?
Yeah, that's my last thing in my notes, which is right after this next thing I was going to say.
All right, cool. I won't.
The last theory is that this person who is making these comments is just mentally ill. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the theory that the person who was actually originally posting these comments was Captain Kutchie himself, and that he would just like in his oldish age had just kind of lost it a little bit and was just like, I'm gonna go on the internet and talk about my key lime pies, I fucking guess. And just like any comment section that he could find on any article that he could turn up just became a place for him to do this.
Very
Either out of obsession, like some sort of schizophrenic breakdown, like, or Alzheimer's or something. Maybe I think maybe there's some credence to the idea that maybe that is what caused the initial post. My question then
thing that
becomes,
we covered
though,
that was like that.
What?
What's that one topic we covered that was like
Yay,
that?
video games.
Yeah.
That was an actual person having an actual meltdown. Pretty sure.
Steamworks goes bye-bye. Always in DRM.
Yeah, Ubisoft always on DRM.
Ubisoft goes, yeah.
Goes bye-bye. This makes sense. My question is, why would he claim to be different people, though? Like, why would he just make up all these names and pretend to be... Unless
like
he
a multiple personality syndrome thing?
Yeah, unless... I guess some people who do develop Alzheimer's and stuff become paranoid, and so they think that people are tracking them, and so they started using these pseudonyms as a way to cover their tracks. But there's nothing in the posts themselves that would lead you to believe that this person is afraid of something.
Mm-hmm.
They're just talking about these pies that they like.
Yeah, if they're trying to cover something up, there would be something there to cover up, not just food reviews.
Yeah, or you could maybe understand that if they were trying to claim some sort of government conspiracy or something, like, there's something in the pies or something like that. And so I'm blowing the whistle on these pies, and the government using them to hijack our brain and turn the frogs gay.
They're putting fluoride in the pies.
But there's nothing like that either. So that also doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
So real quick, I was just Googling his name just to see what other hits I could find. Apparently there's a brewery called Unrefined Brewing that has a beer called Chef Captain Kutchie Pelaez.
Nice.
And like the actual description of it is, it might not be Cucharitaville and we might not have world famous prime ribs, but this key lime wheat hits the spot on a hot day in Florida. I think Patty Salmon would agree as well. That's so funny.
There's also this person, whoever it is, seems to be. I don't know if the like dementia route or anything is also the way to go, because this person seems to be somewhat with it for the most part. Because one of the in one of the comments they use the name like Betty Joe Roberts or something like that, and if you check like obituaries, that's a person that died around that Asheville area. So they know of people in that area.
Yeah.
To a point where they're like, hey, I'm going to use your name.
The thing is, many of the early comments talk about traveling a long distance to go get the pies. So was this a person that lived in the Asheville area and then moved away and kept coming back?
Why would they? In some of the comments as well, they have to put a location. They always use Spanish Fork, Utah or something like that. So why not put Asheville then, if that's the case? If you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's still so many unanswered questions here, I think. It seems to me like a lot of people on the internet, particularly Reddit, are very convinced that Captain Kutchie himself, Oswald Carlos Pelaez Jr., was the person who originally started making the posts. And it may or may not have been a result of like some sort of early Alzheimer's or mental illness or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know nothing about the guy. I don't want to speak ill of him. I mean, it's not like he's doing anything bad, even if that's what's happening. But in particular, I don't want to speak ill of him because he's dead now. So this guy, Oswald Carlos Kutchie Pelaez Jr., was actually a real dude who did own this restaurant. And he passed away on April 3rd of 2022. And he was 68 years old. And his obituary is still up there on the internet at grossfuneralhome.com. That's GROCE. And yeah, he was survived by a bunch of family members who people apparently keep harassing on Facebook, which is super shitty. So
Not only that, but they're also harassing the fucking guest book on here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked
and
up.
people like the some of the family members and people have even gone on like Reddit and they're like, yeah, no, we have no idea what this is. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
Like someone who claimed, I think, to be like his daughter was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. People keep talking to me about it. I have never seen it before in my life. And you just keep getting people like that over and over again. And there was someone that like, it's hard to tell because take it with a grain of salt. It's the internet. There's someone that like made a Reddit post where they're like, yeah, I'm the guy. I have been doing it. But like, are you really? It's the internet.
Yeah.
You can lie on there very easily. It's super easy to lie on the internet. I do it all the time.
You think somebody would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
I will say, if you are compelled to copy pasta this somewhere, let's not do it on other people's obituaries, because I found a handful of them on other obituaries that are just random people. And
On the same at the same funeral home?
no.
Or just, like, generally? That's fucked
So
up.
here, this one was forevermissed. Joanne Elizabeth Chupp. It's just like a bunch of people being like, oh man, like I can't believe it's been 6 years now. And then you get into the later years and it's like 2 years, like, and then 2016, I tried the Captain Kutchie's key lime pies and those piegasms healed all my symptoms within the first 4 weeks. Highly recommend Kutchie's. And it's just the whole same shit, just super long post, but it's on some random woman's obituary, dude. Like,
Yeah. Have some tact.
Have
Lord.
some tact.
it's not great, I'll tell you that.
So what do you boys think this is? I need to know.
I vibe with the idea that it's somebody having some sort of mental breakdown in their old age, but I don't think it was Captain Kutchie himself. I think it was some other random individual who happened to have had the pies at some point, maybe even lived in Asheville and was traveling back to get them. Because old people do that kind of shit all the time. Like retired people,
Snow
they
bunnies.
do that sort of stuff all the time. Like they'll travel hours just for the fucking hell of it, just because they like some pies at some place, just to go say what's up to an old friend or whatever. So I buy the idea that this was a person who was very old, who was starting to lose it a little bit, and was just getting on the internet and just making posts about these pies that they super dug, even though it was years and years after the fact. But I don't think that Captain Kutchie or anybody in the Pelaez family had anything to do with this at all.
Dumbles?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It to me, this just feels like a troll or maybe a group of trolls that just maybe started posting, and then like maybe it was like some sort of inside joke between a group of people, and they just kept doing it and kept doing it, and then finally it just like went viral essentially. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I will clarify my point to say that I don't think that the person who was initially responsible for it was responsible for it for very long. I think they made maybe a handful, maybe a few dozen posts initially, and then somebody else just ran with it, and then it just exploded from there, and eventually, very quickly, became just a group of random people doing it for the hell of it.
Yeah, it feels very random. I don't know. There's no like nothing about this is like screams psyops or fucking like I don't know, some like I even saw one that was somebody was trying to like say it was connected to Lake City Quiet Pills, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like I don't know. It doesn't seem that serious. It seems kind of rude at this point, but like other than that, I don't know. Can you hear this cat
You
just
tell
screaming?
that cat.
Yeah.
You tell that
it sounds
cat
like
who's
children.
boss. It's Mama's. Hi, Mama.
Yeah,
Hi,
it
Mama.
does seem super rude. I was a little bit. I felt a little bad after we started researching this because we decided to do this, and I was like, "Hey, this is this funny thing on the internet that I know about." And then when I found the archive of the subreddit where they had privated the subreddit because people were like harassing the family and stuff, I was like, "Oh, maybe." Now I feel kind of bad, but
I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's relatively done now, so that's good at least.
yeah.
I don't know where I stand on this one, if I'm being honest. I have like 2 or 3 theories of my own that I think are possible. First and foremost, I think I vibe more with the idea of like towards what Doug was saying, where I don't think it was just one specific person. I think it was a group of people, and it's like you're gonna be fucking Bob Hope today. You're gonna be the other
Willie.
guy. You're gonna be this guy. Each person, each name was a different person. I think that they were all like, keep it on theme, make a goof and a gaff about it, and just post anywhere you see. But with that, part of me does kind of think it is at least slightly bot oriented, because you'll get there's definitely like context clues as to which names post to like what websites and articles and things like that. Like the Willie whatever, the horny guy, only posts on things that mention sex. There's another one that only posts on things mentioning travel. There's one that only posts on things mentioning cooking.
Food
So
blogs,
like, yeah. So each one has its own filters in place. So if it's not bot oriented, I think there's some sort of filter involved that people are making these posts and are sending it through some sort of algorithm that makes sure it only gets posted on things that are on topic and on theme. So I do think some sort of bot is involved somehow because of that, because it must be difficult. And if maybe not difficult, but imagine being the guy where it's like, all right, you got to go on all the fucking horny sites and just post about key lime pie. That's your job for the day. That just seems weird. And I feel like after a while you would be A, probably bored of it, or B, you start like nitpicking what sites you want to go on. I don't know, but I do think a bot gets involved somehow because of that.
Well,
I could believe that maybe this was somebody who was trying to script like some early LLM, large language model type thing, by seeing if they could like make it talk about a topic consistently but mix it up. And they were like, I'm going to see if I can write a bot that's just going to talk about these fucking key lime pies. I have no idea.
Well, and there's so many references to like, and this is what part of me thinks of this as well, because there's so many references. Like a lot of them mention like cheeseburgers are better than sex. That's a Jimmy Buffett reference. There's a fuckload of Jimmy Buffett references. There's a fuckload of references to Florida. Like I do think part of this was scripted and the posts were made by a person, but I think the way that they were sent out probably was taken over by some sort of robot. But I don't think it was a one-man job, definitely. I do think it was a group of people. And I think my mindset splits on, were they doing it from 2009 to 2016, or did they start it and, like Doug said, some fucking like 15-year-old teenager found it online, was like, key lime pies, and just copy pasted it everywhere they saw as well. Because like when I was in high school, I started a fucking trend on Facebook where you would take a picture, and on Facebook, you know how you could like tag yourself in the photo? You could like drop a pin on you and be like, that's my name. Or you could drop a pin on like Doug, say Doug, and you can click on it and take you to his
then
profile.
It got super creepy and started just identifying people's faces without you asking.
Yeah, but I started a trend where I would like, I'd take a picture of myself or whatever, and the background was like the background stuff. So I'd like tag my couch, and then I would tag like the shoes. So like if anywhere you click on the thing or like you hover the mouse over, it would hover over with like a name tag for my shoes. Like, and then people around the high school started doing that. Like these kind of things just catch on because kids are stupid. And I think that might have happened here as well. Some kid might have stumbled across what he thought was a funny post about key lime pies, fucking posted it somewhere else, and some other kids saw it, posted somewhere else. They told their friends, they got in on the joke. It just kind of ran its course through the internet. So
Maybe.
I think that's where my two ideas divulge. I don't know which one I think is more accurate, where it is like a core group of people that did this the entire time, or they started it and then the internet took it over quickly after they started it.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I mean, we get so many posts in like that 2014 to 2016 like range, and at some point, I don't know when exactly, but at some point a list came out, like someone published a list of all of the copy pastas that they were using. So I have to assume like once that came out, like people were just going like ape shit with it.
And this was that time in the internet where like I feel like around like that 2012 2014 mark was like peak like Trollsville internet, where people were just dicking around. Like I don't know if that's accurate or not, but like that's the vibe I get, because that's when I was like fresh right out of high school, just being an absolute fucking shit unit and just doing whatever on Reddit and shit like that. And that's when I noticed like a lot of this type of crap happening. So
all right, for those of you who are in the live recordings, next Tuesday or whenever the fuck we end up recording again, ask Jason about Roberto Esquivel Cabrera.
God, I meant to fucking do that during my section.
So
yeah, continue.
That's it. Just somebody remind us to talk to him about that live in front of people.
we're curious.
Because we gotta know about this man, right, Mama?
Yeah, and how this is related.
Yeah. I think he just went on a binger. Hi, Mama.
The rest
Again.
is excess skin.
That's Captain Kutchie's key lime pies. There's way more that we have not gone into. Like there's a whole bit about like a website owned by Oswald that became like a fucking scam site. There's like this whole bit about like a cooking book that Oswald is like selling to people for like $100,000. There's bits where Oswald is like pretending to be like a stockbroker, where you send him money and he'll double your investments. There's a whole fucking avalanche of other information on this that it's hard to say if it's real or just, again, the fake accounts is adding to the bit. But we I think covered the initial story, and the rest is just fanfare, if that makes sense.
Write some
Sure.
Captain Kutchie's fanfic and send it to us.
Don't do that. Dude's dead.
Well,
It's
okay,
not.
you know what? That was
Write
that,
fanfic about the key lime pie, and that's
yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
what I meant. I didn't really mean about, all right, we'll cut that. We'll cut that out.
Write fanfic about Roberto Esquivel Cabrera
Yeah.
and his 19-inch penis.
Yeah.
And of how only 6 of it is actual penis.
And the rest is excess skin.
Oh God, that sounds awful. Anyway,
Do you think it's just foreskin? Just 13 inches of foreskin?
I don't think that's
13-inch skin.
I think that's that's like a 12 skin at that point.
so gross. Well, boys, on that note, Doug, what do you want to say to the people?
Just that the cat is screaming at me right now. And if you want to slap your peas and beans inside of a key lime pie, that'd be pretty okay to do.
Go real American Pie with it. You fuck that key lime pie.
Yeah, you get out there and you fuck a pie this weekend.
Matt, what do you got to say?
Stay spooky, stay stupid. Cream that pie.
Oh, actually, I have one more on a serious note thing to say.
Okay.
It's that fucking time of year again, folks.
Yeah.
We want you to send us your hometown horrors. Matt,
I was
you
supposed to
already
make a
know.
thing. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, send us an email or I guess a text message.
No, leave it at email. It's easier for us to find.
Leave Mike a voicemail. Don't do that. Okay, I get it.
Just an email.
Yeah,
Leave-
just
send us an
send an
email.
email. Put your
Title
name
it Hometown Horrors - your name.
and the year, so 2024,
Horrors.
because we keep all of these emails. We have a big long list, so put 2024 Hometown Horror, your name, and we will probably read it on our episode, or we might ask you to read it. Who knows?
Yes.
Depends on how coordinated we are.
Title it Hometown Horrors - your name 2024. If you do not title it that, we will not find it, and we will not, we potentially not put it on the show.
Yeah,
we
'cause
want to
here-
put all these on the show.
Let's be very clear. Here's what's going to happen. If you want your story to be read, do that, because what's going to happen is if you don't title it that, we don't organize our inbox at all.
Nope.
Just whatever the fuck comes in there, and we get like 50 fucking Reddit notifications a day for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Blame Jason for that one.
And what we're gonna do is literally the night before the episode, we're gonna go into the Google Drive and we're gonna search. We're gonna type in hometown horrors and hope that your stories come up. And if you didn't optimize your SEO, your story is not going to come up. So.
We hope to God we have content the day before we record.
All right. So I just opened our email, which I actually did just organize not too long ago. So it looks much better. But we have like 4 different people that we have to respond to. Also, how have we not talked about someone's email that's just 1313131313 at gmail.com sending us a picture of a tooth?
Because I didn't know that was there. We'll get to that in a minute. That's
Yeah.
bonus territory. But yes,
Yeah.
I
again,
just saw it. So I was like, all right.
again, Hometown Horrors. Send us an email with your story, your creepy story that happened to you. You want a personal story if you can find one. Send it to
Yeah, please
DeludiePod.
don't just make up a story.
Yeah, don't make up
the-
stories. Make it a personal story that of a creepy thing that happened to you. Creepy stories are fun, but I want to know the real scary stuff that's legitimate, has you spooked, not a story that you made up on the spot.
Yeah, some of you aren't as good a writers as you think you are. I'm not pointing fingers.
We read all we've read a lot of these, and you know who you are.
You know who you are. You know what you did.
You know what you did.
You know what you did.
But yeah, one more time. Hometown Horrors - your name 2024. We will not read it if you do not put it at that. So please do that so we can put it on the show. I would also like to say, please go to DeludiePod at Gmail, or DeludiePod@gmail.com is where you can send us emails and shit. Go to Deludie.com, Patreon.com/DeludiePod, and that's where you guys can become members, both those sites. You can send us a text message or a voicemail at 630-909-9366. You send us a text, we respond. Send us a voicemail, we play it at the end of the show, like what you're gonna hear after this.
Maybe.
You can find us on all of our socials. If you just go to linktree.com/DeludiePod, all of our social links are there. You can find us on all the socials at either Don't Look Under the Internet or DeludiePod. It's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. That easy.
Buy our merch or something. Be cool.
Buy
Rep
that
it. Send us a
merch.
picture. Send us a picture in your merch, and you'll be entered into a giveaway of nothing.
We're also doing fan art on our Instagram too. So if you have any fan art of Deludie branded things, if you want to give a best shot of what Orthon looks like, best representation, send it our way, and we will post it on our Instagram, and we will credit you and whatnot. So there's that as well. Go ahead and hug your dad. Take your tooth, put it in your dad, and key lime pie comes out like an easy bake oven. That's what I got. Goodbye, everybody.
Good fucking bye.
Don't look under the internet.
Hey, this My name is D. I'm a newer fan of your podcast, and I'm enjoying it. I recently watched your episode about my dad's tapes. I gotta say, I'm kind of interested. I watched some videos of it. It obviously wasn't that good, but it got me interested. I feel like it's inspired by, I don't know if you guys ever seen the Netflix documentary season of The Witch, I think it's called. This whole thing about the Son of Sam killer, and he has a weird connection to this weird Scientology offshoot religion called the Process Church. It's like a cult, which also apparently might have had connections with the Manson family. It's a weird documentary. It's I guess you'd call it conspiracy theory. So, and I was watching my dad's tapes, and there was that weird Scientology connection. But yeah, I mean, I believe Manson had weird connections to Scientology, but I think my dad's tapes is kind of inspired by serial killer conspiracies. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Program to Kill by Dave McGowan, I believe it is. Again, it's one of those things. Basically, it's every serial killer from the 60s, 70s, and 80s were all MK Ultra experiments gone wrong or something. But yeah, I believe that documentary is on Netflix. It's called Season of the Witch. It was actually pretty decent. So I think that might have been an inspiration for my dad's tapes, or at least the conspiracies. I think the documentary came out long after that channel was dead. But yeah, big fan. Hope to listen to more episodes and keep doing what you guys are doing. Thanks. Bye.